Welcome everyone, I'm Evelyn, and on my last video we got cut off at the end, so I'm going to continue from that point, which was the 3rd of September through this whole week. And I have my 7-deck read on the table, which I still haven't done yet for you guys, which I brought up on the last video, as well as some more messages. I was just meditating for you, and the meditation wasn't bringing specifics up like it normally would. Today it was all about perspective. So they were showing me the masculine, the play between the masculine and the feminine, where there's always different perspectives to look at regarding what the masculine and what the feminine are. They were showing me the energy of father reaching out through the sun to the mother planet, and then the mother reaching out through the moon daughter to the father. So, you know, kind of like the daughter and son being the in-between, the bridge. And then they're showing me the energy of channeling, right? Because we use channeling as in channeling spirits, guides, but also channeling outside yourself. What a masculine would build a channel. So it just depends on the perspective, right? She channels from within and he channels from without. You see the mother as the one who holds, but they're also showing me the symbol of the Y chromosome, and the Y can be the Y with a cup shape holding, but it also can be the Y shape bent the other way, which is then expanding and opening their heart. So this energy of those two Y's that come together make the two leaves on the stem of the flower. So the feminine is seen as holding, as the mother, the children, but the father holds the planet like Atlas energy. So it just depends on what perspective you're looking at things from, right? Are you looking at it from a 3D planetary perspective, or are you looking at it from an etheric perspective? So they just want you to look at more perspectives. There's not one right way to see things. And then the H was coming up again as the bridges, right? The H is the two bridges of the masculine and feminine and the connecting bridge between them, which came up in my post yesterday. So check out my Instagram. I'm trying to post on Instagram, TikTok, and my Facebook page. It's not my personal Facebook, but my page on that Facebook. And then on YouTube, I'm posting the video, but you don't always get the message. There isn't always a message with my Instagram messages, but there usually is. Sometimes it's just the visual. But if you want the messages from those posts on YouTube, then you need to go to one of the other servers. So the two bridges are coming up as the masculine and feminine, and they're danced within themselves, and then the connecting of the divine, which represents that 4D bridge of the Christ consciousness, which doesn't have to relate to Christianity. It can relate to unity consciousness. It just has to do with the energy, not the label, and how you perceive that, right? Because everyone sees things from a different perspective, from their experience. So the H is obviously two lines and then a line between those two lines, like a high jump, connecting the two lines, her bridge, his tunnel, and then the dock. And the dock of the bay was coming up on my last video. And the dock was coming up in the picture of my Instagram post, which is supposed to be a mountain actually, but it's really, the actual image is a dock that's rolling out and moving back and forth. So it played into the message perfectly. But if you take the two lines of the H and you arc them, because a line is just two dots with energy arcing between them, you then have the energy of salt, because you have two circles facing each other, or half circles facing each other like pi, but then the H has that line across in the middle, which then is the symbol of salt, which is grounding you to the earth. And remember that the circle is just two C's that if you bend them backwards becomes the sine wave. It's the spiral. So literally what was coming out was this image here. After you go from the H to what I just described, which opens up to the sine wave, because this is just a spiral, it becomes this, where the masculine and feminine sides over here, and then the energy of the dock going down the middle of the suspended portal, right? The portal energy of not the 3D bridge, but the portal bridge of suspended animation, or the perception of suspended animation. The dance between the left and the right creates the spiral tunnel portal between the bridge and the tunnel. So they're saying, right, so her bridge, his tunnel, and then the connecting is the portal. And also I kept getting, I'm not positive about the red doors here, but in my message that I did last night, because I did a message of the day for you guys last night, we were crossing the bridge to the red doors, which red can represent the root and the re of the shaman energy, and the open door of the R, which the P, letter P, capital P for me, is the housing of the masculine, and then the R brings out that leg of reaching out to others, or an open door kind of policy, but regarding the home. And then the 2 and 31 were coming up, as in February 31st, and which there is no 31st of February, but it was coming up as March 3rd, because there's 3 extra days there. And then the 2-3 was coming up again with the Taurus and the Trident representation that I bring up, I've brought up a few times. And then the leap to the number 9, which is the all, the compassion, the ending. And the 2, I guess, again, the play with the 2 and the 3, which is the King of Wands, who then the example of the energy that she is the wand, she is the magic wand, she is that whole energy of that. And then he takes that wand and grounds it into the earth, right, to bring that energy into focus and channel it into something practical in this earthly realm. And then 3-3 is the 33 of the Christ Consciousness 4D bridge. So the 33 and then the 2 and 3 of the King of Wands. And again, we have the 2 and the 3 is the Taurus of the apple, and then the 3 of the Trident holding the apple. Again, 2 cups, right? The feminine's cup and the masculine's cup of the Trident, both holding each cheek of the apple. So really interesting. It always ends up coming together. Like, you never get stuck because you're allowing the energy to just flow through. So that was the message. And I'm going to do everything in order just so it comes through in the way it was intended. So, and that was part of the energy that I just showed you from yesterday, from 9-9. And again, 9-9 is a portal. And 9 is the number, like I said, of compassion and endings and the all, right? The one and the all, the extremes of both, and depending on your perspective, it's the same thing. And then again, my message of the day, which I will share with you. I did not transfer that picture though, but I'll tell you what the decks were. Yeah, so there were several. I also posted my vitality message from the Divine Mother on Instagram and the other sites. A beautiful message of the phrase that kept coming through when I channeled her at Vitality was Mana Joya, which was something else came up regarding that today, which was interesting. But you can check out that post. But again, just the energy of the miraculous treasures or her children that you are. But Joya was also coming up as it's spelled Joya, and the definition of that is the treasure, the jewel. But it was also coming up Joya as Gaia with a soft G, not a hard G. Joya. So that was very interesting. So again, mana, and mana is the energy of the miraculous food that came in the 40 days and 40 nights, or walking through the desert. So this beautiful miraculous energy that you are, right? The food is something that nourishes, the energy that nourishes, and that jewel or treasure that you are. And Mother wanted you to understand that. And I'm getting big connection right now. Yeah, so I'm sure we'll get back to that at some point. But I'm going back to the 3rd of September. And we definitely will do the 7-deck read today. And probably that message of the day as well that I did last night. And I just want to get through the other messages that came up through the 3rd. So when we got cut off, it was about the time 1:31. And I'm getting the star symbol too, right? So the plus sign and the X together, which would be an 8-pronged star, is coming up around the 131 because there's the energy of the 3 as the Christ consciousness bridge and then the 2 gate holders on either side. But also the 1 and the 3-1 of the 1 in the group. 31 is the 5 of Wands. And I was talking about connecting with my father in the middle of the night when I was sleeping. And that's the time I had woken up at 1:31. Okay. So then I started this next page is where I got cut off exactly. So we're just going to start with that 131 again. So on the 3rd, I was listening to some videos that I like, and I had pulled from my Ascension deck. And right at that time when I pulled, it was 148, which in Gematria is miracles. So again, the energy of miracle comes in. And Lady Portia came through as the underlying energy with number 32. And prior to that was the 4, I believe I have here, as the golden, silver, violet flame, which is Saint Germain. And then, of course, Saint Germain's partners with Lady Portia. So it was interesting they came out together. And the 4 of the Emperor's journey of good news, right? The messenger who brings in the good news at the end of the war. And also in that card, Archangel Zadkiel is paired with Saint Germain and Lady Portia. So those 3 energies were coming in together. And the underlying energies, and the first card out was Lord Maitreya, and then, which is number 30 in this deck, regarding radiating pure white integrity and pure intent. And the 30 is the 4 of Wands, which is the home and union, that stability of that, and also the celebration of that. And it was coming out as 1 and 4 cards, which is like the complete set, like 4 ones, and then you cross the 4 ones with the 5th, that complete set. And that's the energy I was getting here of 1 and 4. And it came out with the 14 of Earth, 31 Thoth, 11, I think it's Serapis Bay, and then the Dolphins, 23. So there's that 23 again of the King of Wands. And I laid all those cards out, the numbers of them, and it was 3014, 314, 123, right? So there's pi twice. The first pi has the 0 in between, the 3 and the 14, which is the mother and the angels. Oh, they're reminding me, because one of the other messages I was just getting today when I was meditating is the angels are that expansive mother energy. And notice the masters are M. aster, right? The flower of the aster and the M of the mother. It's the channeled energy, right? That masculine energy comes in with the M as well. Taking the angel, the archangel was coming up as that arc of action of the masculine. So it's very interesting how they were coming up here. But the angelic energy in itself is the mother energy. The 30, 14, 31, 41, 2, 3 of, and the 0 next to the 3 of the 3014 was coming up as the 3 degrees of 14, or it can be the 3.14 of pi, right? The mother and her angels, which I'm just getting now, wasn't getting that before, and then the 314, which is pi, which is again the 31 twice of the group, and that represents life's chaos, whereas 13 is death, and control. And then again the 4, which is about stabilizing that. And 31 is a 4. So it's 314, or 3 degrees of 14, 314, or 3.14, 314, and then 23, oh, and then 123, which is that leap, to take that leap. And also the 123 of the masculine, feminine, and then the bridge between of the Christ consciousness or unity consciousness. And then we have the 141 there too, with 314 leading into 123, which is one for all and all for one. The union angels led by Lord Maitreya, which I don't know if I said this on the last video, but Maitreya this week was being broken down into Maitre, which is master or Lord, or as Elena Danan calls Ea, Prince Ea, because then we have EYA, which is literally Ea. So it's literally Maitreya is coming up as master or Prince Ea, of Mother Earth, Thoth, Serapis Bey, and the Dolphins, the 4 of Wands, Temperance, with the 5 of Wands, the Ace of Cups, and the King of Wands. The union angels, the patient angels, the group, receives love from the King of Wands, Dolphins. Be the example of right living in every aspect. Your reward is the peace that passes, or perhaps surpasses, all understanding, and the joy of flowing smoothly on your higher path in life. Then the word Lord was being broken down to L or D, which is L, the 90 degrees, or the D of the divine spin of 360 degrees, or 4-part harmony. The earth angels and Lady Gaia, or Jaya and Taya, elementary, my dear Watt son. The Watt ones and 2 U's at, or sitting under a tree, and the sun, which equals the Sophia salt of the earth, the infinite ear, or the one who listens, and the sine wave, or the sun, or the sine Sophia salt wave 1, where the 14 of earth and Serapis Bey was coming up with 41, of the one for all and all for one, which I always use the words of the all for, the all is the whole, A-L-L, and then the A-W-L is the whole with an H-O-L-E as opposed to W-H-O-L-E. So here, the earth and Serapis Bey were being reflected. And Serapis is Sir Apis, and is related to Osiris as well, which then all relates to Sirius, which is Sir Eos, which is Sir Jesus. So there's this energy there of earth and Jesus again, and it's not about Christianity. It's about unity consciousness. So, and then we have Thoth in the middle here with number 31. And Thoth is T-H-O-T-H, which is the human in the middle with infinite energy on either side, like the gates. You know, can represent the earth in the middle as well, with the infinite gates on the other side. The 31 in the middle of 14 of 41, of human infinite energy on both sides, the infinite ear or listening, and Tho was coming up, T-H-O. And I was getting those toes, which is really funny because the first guide I was connecting to was through my toes and mitos, which referenced, the mythic world, but also the energy of wisdom. And here coming up, Ea, are infinite human, right? The ear is Ea, so Ea is in everything. So the infinite ear, or Ea, are, and I just said the R is the home with an open door. So, and if the Anunnakis created us, or seeded us, here is the Father coming in with an open door policy to the infinite human. Sir Apis and Sir Apis, or pies, the 2 pies together, which creates that H of the salt in the middle, the salt of the earth. And Serap, the word is mirage. Oh, Tho is also coming up as those toes, but also the oath that the Father takes, right, to keep their door open for you. the evening of the pies is then, because Sarah is even, so here is the evening of the pies. So that can represent nighttime, but also the balancing of the two pies, right? The circles with the line down the middle and then the salt in the middle, which creates the H. And it was coming up as evening of the pies, BY. With BY, and Serap is mirage, but it also absorbs bay, or absorbs the water. BY, or the masculine, absorbs the bay, and then Maitreya comes up as the ma of the mother. It, RE, or regarding ya, or you, or yes, Ray 1. The bay of BEY, and then MAI of the flame of Maitreya, and then the TRE of 3, and then YA. And then it was coming up as BY on one side and YA on the other as the masculine and feminine, but both Ys, like I was just explaining, because then the two Ys, one holding and one expanding, coming together, becomes the plant growing, the leaves. And again, the nadis of the energy lines that make up what looks like a flower. So the BY and the YA on either side being the gate holders, and then the flame in the middle, which makes 3. The matchmaker, the more, MOOR, was also coming here, the more people. But again, more has to do with expansion. The mother and the face and the stone, which stone is ST and 1, or the path of 1. And then face is the F of digamma, or twin flame energy, and the ace, and acing that of 1, again. F, ace, ST, 1, stone. So face and stone are just two ways of expressing the same thing. The Lord, and then this brings up the energy that came up in the last video too, of the masculine is the R and the Y, and the feminine is the L and the X, of right and left, and X and Y. RY is ray, literally, and LX is lux, the illumination of the phased array, right? So he's the one ray that directs, and she is the phased array that illuminates. The Lord of L human road, the mate ray number 1, 30 of the Homer union, as 30 and 31 and 14 and 41. So it wasn't coming up as 13 and 31 here, it was coming up as 13, not death anymore, but the union, and the 31 of life, and then the 1 for all and all for one of the 14 and 41, which is the 14 of the Temperance card or angels, and the 41 of the Ace of Cups, which is the Holy Grail. The pairs alternate here of 1, 3-1 with space for thought or thoth, and then the 1 for all of the whole with a W, and then the all for 1 with the whole without a W, and then the circle, which is the whole and the whole. The TH of the infinite on either side. Again, the perfect set of the 4 ones and the 5th. 1 plus 4, a full set. The 0 is a reset. Remember, 0 is a spiral, it's not solid. Thoth, in this card, in the Ascension deck, talks about Thoth bringing the Incas in South America, and the energy of when every aspect or whole is in tune, the whole is automatically in harmony. So again, and this is part I was getting, not the card, but they talk about the story, but the whole and the whole is me. When every whole or aspect, so they're bringing up the aspect as the whole, HOLE, is in tune, the whole, WHOLE, is automatically in harmony. Every cell an orchestra, your thoughts the conductor. Lead your cells to harmonious union with the U and then the N, which is the sine wave, connection. A coiling of signposts along the way, a picture of every being, and a movie made from them, a blur of 8 million seconds of 8 million humans just here on Earth. And then 8 million divided by 60 to make 133,333 minutes, 0.333, divided by 60 again to be 2,222.2222 hours. Interstate 33 and Rainbow Bridge 333.333 becomes, which are 9 and 9 on either side, becomes the 2222 and 2222 on either side, which is also 8 and 8 on either side. where it becomes days, either 6.08828006088 days per year, or if you do it straight through and not just doing so many hours per day, it's 93 days straight, or like I said, 6.09 hours per day. A blur of 8 million seconds of 133,333.333 minutes and 2222.2222 hours, 93 days or 6 hours a day, which then relates to the 39 days, was reflecting the 39 weeks it takes for birth. And the 89 that manifest together, the 8 and the 9, like the 698 pod, right? When you draw 6 and 9 together, the 9 automatically creates the 8 with the 6. So they are a pair. The 8 and the 9 manifest together because the 8 is the power and then the 9 is the ending. You don't go forward in the 9, right? That's time to let go of what no longer serves. So they really come as a package deal. Manifesting together in the 698 pod, 93/39, and then 83/38, which represents the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups. And 83 is also M83, Messier, which is the two horseshoes holding each other's hands, so to speak. The 9 and the 8 across the 4D bridge at the Golden Gate, Route 66. And 66 can be GG, or Golden Gate. The 3014, 314, 123 of the cards that came up, or 014314, and then 123. Which is the pi with space, which then represents the two halves of the pi with space between, which is a D and a backwards D. And then pi is those two halves coming together. But then we have another pi around it. So it's that energy of expanding outside of itself between the mother and the angel. Going from the antithesis or antitheses to the parenthesis of the pairing of the C's to the sharing of the C's in Pisces. And here we have the 1 of the masculine plus 2 of the feminine to the 3, which creates direction, and then the 4, which goes up. It leaps up, right? The 3 is across and the 4 is up. It creates the plus sign. The 1, 2, 3 leap plus the 4, and then it comes up with the actual number 4, which came up as a message regarding the cross. I don't think I told you this in the last video about part of it that got cut off. But the number 4 with the pointy 4 would be the way that you cross yourself in the Christian religion, but it's upside down 4 in the way you're expected to cross your heart, which we'll get to in a minute. But here's where the 4 is coming up, and again the 4 representing the vertical pillar and the father here, the emperor. Between the 1 and 4, or that complete set, is the 14 and the 3, right? So pi is 3.14, and 413 also relates to that as well. But between the 14 and the 3 of the angel and the mother is the 1, which is a colon, right, with that arc between of energy. And then the 4 and the 3 are the plus sign because it's the horizontal and the vertical pillar. The 3 is the eagle soaring across, the 4 is the phoenix rising. So the 4 also comes up as the sail on the boat, and the 3 is the wind in the sail here, where Maitreya or Master Ea here, and then Serapis or Sir Apis appeases, or multiple P's of the 2 P's in the pod. A P is P Ea, or the housing of Ea is APE of the ape, is Master Ea and Sir Apia, or appeasing the 2 pies, or evening of the pies, right? And then the pi represents both the masculine and feminine dancing between their own masculine and feminine, the evening of the 2 circles of the pies, again with that salt of the earth in the middle, connecting them and grounding them to the earth. The Master Ea was coming also with the definitions as the mosquito Rhea. And mosquito breaks down to the mosque toe, as the toes came up already. And the Rhea, or the yes ray, to see Ra pies, or 2 pies, see the ray of the 2 pies, and the mosque and the toe, and also the definition of bolting the doors of the P's to lock and bind the pies together. The place of prostration is the mosque, laying face down humbled, and again kissing one's feet, the toe, humbled ray to kiss toe, and then evening the pies, appeasing the pies that are now corded and harmonized, with Master Ea at their service, becomes pi C's, which is again the energy of the two going inside out, through and through to the other side, and then back to back and corded. Bringing in Maitreya, Master Ea, to even the scored, with a D on the end. Scordo was coming up, to put out of tune, to forget. Again, the veil, the S chord, Sophia's chord. The human anointed with Ea's wisdom, the chord of Sophia. 2 U's is the dam of wisdom, the domain. The Christ O road of Sophia's Ea. Sophia means wisdom, and Christ means anointed. So again, here's the anointing of kissing the feet, and then the wisdom of Ea, of Sophia and Ea, her son. The wisdom of her son. And again, remember when in the example I gave you with the father, right? The father, through the sun's rays, reaches the earth. It's the sun longing for the mother, and the earth then of the daughter moon longing for the father. And then the energy of no, I just lost what I had to tell you. Right, so this energy of the father needs the sun, because the sun is what reaches out to the mother. And then the mother nature got here on earth, mother nature would be the planet, then needs the daughter, right? That's their themselves basically, to reach, that's a part of yourself reaching out to the father. But then on the other hand, it's the son coming towards the earth, who longs for his mother to hold him, and then the daughter longing for the father to hold her. Very interesting. So the Christ O, or human embodiment of source, road, and Sophia's Ea, the anointed and wise path of Enki and Enlil, which is Enki means En is Lord, En, and then for me En is also JC. The code for me for Jesus, but also En is the Christed temple path. So here Enki is Lord, and then Ki is the earth, Lord of the earth, and then Enlil is Lord of Lilith. So again, the earth mate being a planet Lilith, where earth is Ea and RTH, or earth, and then Lilith is Lil and ITH, which is something else. Ea's earth, or RTH, and Lil's ITH, which means to follow someone behind or be second. And again, that's then causes Enlil to be mad because he doesn't want to be second, so then he ends up living that expression. RTH is also regular trading hours, and Ruth, of course, and the R to the nth degree. But RTH, also means to bake, and right to hire, or hire yourself. ITH means to eat, and literally to eat, corn, grain, particle, and atom were also coming up there. So Ea is Ruth with infinite compassion, mercy, and remorse, to bake with the right to hire themselves, and mercy of thank you and gratitude, and regular trading hours, or hours to hold. Where in Lil's atom, to eat and to follow someone else, right? He's number 2 to Ea's T, or top dog. So then Enlil instead tweets as TWEAT, eats, and tweets about twins, Ea, and the T of the trees, the family trees, and the top dog. And then Laughing Buddha was coming up with Serapis. Home with Earth Angel, the fallen one, as Thoth, right? Because it could only be fallen, because an angel is Mother Nature, the Divine Mother. And Thoth's thought group is with Serapis, the fourth ray of harmony. Earth and Lilith and Thoth, the portal of the dolphins at Mirage Bay. And then Miami was coming up. Of course, the casinos would come up with that energy as well. So then the football teams were also coming up. And again, I'm getting Lilith with the casinos. And Miami Dolphins came up, and Miami was coming up as I, and Dolphins, which is two elfins, at the dock of the bay, which then Memphis comes up, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But the Hermit's journey to the Queen of Wands, Omega, which is the leap in and the leap out. Maitreya is the laughing, I think it's Maitreya is the laughing Buddha energy. But it was also coming up as Master Ea, the doctor, to Serapis Bay. Masters Ea and Apis, or Pies, sitting on the dock of the bay, appeasing what ails them. So again, Ea, or Enki, was known as the scientist, right, the doctor, to here Serapis Bay, which then rolled into Jesus, who comes up as sitting on the dock of the bay. So Jesus' doctor coming in here as Ea. I love how they bring these examples. And the dock of the bay literally being the doctor of the bay, or Serapis Bay, master. The doctor of the master, right, or the doctor to the stars, so to speak, the doctor of the dolphins and Mirage, the King of Wands offers love to the group of angels at home. So then 23-32 is coming up, the reflection of the King of Wands and the journeyman, where 2, remember, is 23 is the 2 of the Taurus, or 2 are us, and the 3 of the trident. And here we have Poseidon again, which is Enki and Ea, which is D-E-N-T, which is the divine giant talking tree or living library, right? The 2 are us versus the trident, which holds us. The King of Wands, who leads by giant example. And so what came up under those energies of the dolphins versus the LA charges, right? Because LA is angels, so the dolphins and the angels, and the charge, right? The charged angels, which is the archangels. This was on September 10th, 23, which is today's date, right? But back in 23, 1 year ago exactly, was that game of Dolphins versus Chargers. At the Dolphin Stadium is Hard Rock Stadium, and the Philadelphia Eagles come up as well, because that's Ea's Glee. And that was October 23 last year, the game. And then the Philadelphia Stadium is Lincoln Financial, which Lincoln was coming up linked to freedom. And then 11/11 was Miami versus the LA Rams. So again, the Dolphins versus the Angels at the stadium, which is SoFi, which is Sophia, who's Sophia, or expansive, in Inglewood, which is in Gleewood of Ea's Glee, and wood being the trees. And also Glee comes up as the farm, which I brought up as well, right? F-A-R-M, which is the F and the M of the father, mother, or feminine and masculine, and the R between, which again is that energy of the home with an open door policy in the middle on the bridge. The energy of Ea's Glee, the eagle. And then Otis Redding came up from sitting on the dock of the bay. So he died when he was 26. And yesterday was the energy of the 26, the Page of Wands, which also for me is Newton's cradle. But also if you put 20s at 2 and 6 together, smushed together, it's the butterfly energy of transformation. And again, his plane crashed at age 26. Otis Redding wrote the sitting on the dock of the bay He was born in Georgia. He was the fourth of 6 kids, and he was the first son. And he recorded twice in 1967. And Redding, again, is coming up here. The color red, remember red came up? Otis Redding, and Ree as the shaman coming up here. And the Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was released in 68 by Stack Records under the Vault label, January 8th, 68, literally. And it went to #1. He started writing it in Sausalito, California, and again, we're talking about the angels here, and then completed it in Memphis, which is where I was born, and of course Elvis is there. I was actually born at that hospital where Elvis was taken to when he died, Baptist Memorial. So completed in Memphis with Steve Cropper, who was the Stax producer. 11/22/67 is when he started writing it on the dock of the bay, and then edits were done on 12/7, and then he died. He was going to Madison, Wisconsin on tour to Factory Nightclub near University of Wisconsin, and the weather was poor, but they went anyway, and 6.5 kilometers from their destination, the pilot radioed to land and crashed in the Menominee Lake Menominee. More than 4,500 people came to his funeral. He literally died 3 days after his recording. So, I broke down Otis Redding, and then DD, which for whatever reason I was getting 1,000, like M would be. Oh, because D is M. All right, so D, an abbreviation for the way D used to be written like pi, like 2 parentheses and a line down the middle. That used to be M. And so then they started abbreviating it as letter D, but that was M. So DD is coming up as M. It's the same, which is 1,000 and a day. And DD is also 2 planets. It's the divine director. And Otis Redding coming up here. And literally is coming up as O. Tis regarding the DD of 1,000 and a day doodah. So I was getting this energy that like they were singing when they crashed. And then ING, which means to bend and curve, or the meadow, the water meadow, the dell or glen, the wobble, the swing, the house of water, and the ink, to write about it, right? To write about your experience. The human plus, or the horizontal and the vertical, masculine and the feminine, the emperor and the empress, is regarding, again, this is Otis Redding, the human plus is regarding day in G. And that was interesting too, because when I was looking this all up, Dr. G came up because he was the Miami Dolphins doctor. And that came up from 7 years ago. I don't know if he was the one who got fired for the death or not. But 1,000 curves and wobbles in the water meadow as he crashed into a lake. And he was literally calling it doodahing, which is a really cool message. And again, the laughing Buddha, Maitreya, with Maitreya being Master Iya as the doctor to Serapis Bay, sitting on the dock of the bay. So Otis is connecting himself with Serapis Bay. Beautiful. So again, Saint Germain and Lady Portia were coming up with the numbers of pi here of 3014, 314, 123. And again, the energy of the Empress and the Emperor with 01 between, and then pi, and then ABC leap. Saint Germain and Lady Portia and Archangel Zadkiel, this gold and silver violet flame, the lambda leap, which is the number 4, the L and the 1, to bring good news. Home of Angels group receiving love from the King of Wands. And remember, the King of Wands is being used as the example of the one who holds the flame of the Divine Feminine, because she is that wand. And the W, when I abbreviate like King of Wands, is lowercase k and lowercase w, which the W is the 2 U's, and the K is the energy of 2 U's. The King of Wands, he's holding the feminine. The dolphins, the angels of Atlantis, the mighty beings raise the frequency of water to pass on the wisdom of golden Atlantis and Lemuria. Lemuria of the L, Lemuria, and the A of Atlantis. the LA, the city of angels, sitting on the dock of the bay, absorbing light and offering love. So again, we're talking about the West Coast. So when the sun sets, and again, I'm watching the sun set, okay? So Lemuria and Atlantis, or LA, the angel, city of angels, between the two, sitting on the dock of the bay with Maitreya and Serapis Bay, absorbing light and offering love. Where mirage is bay in Serapis Bay, and Serapis mirage is absorbing evenly. Two peas in a pod, POD, housing human of spinning planet. Pay on delivery, at bay, which is slippery, so be careful. Sitting on, and that was at 555, sitting on the dock of the bay, or the master, sitting on the doctor of the master, right? The master of all masters, and sitting on them. So you're literally sitting on Ea, who's the master of the other masters, the doctor of water, Poseidon Ea, or the psychiatrist, the psych Ea tri-path. Notice Ea is in psychiatrist too, that energy of Ea. Housing Sophia at the Y, with the 3 of tri-path of psychiatrist was being broken down there. The Y horsepower and 3 street, the water wheel of 144 turns, which is horsepower, the wisdom of Ea in bridging the turns, the water in a leap of faith. At each turn is a waterfall, lightning up and waterfall, and again that's reference to the heartbeat as well, in a spiral heartbeat, where heart is H, Ea, root, and beat, which is B, Ea, T, or tree. The heartbeat with Ea on the bridge between both parts of lightning up and waterfall, or again, the one who rises in the fallen angel. The human one-to-one Ea root, B, Ea's tree, his cross, or the plus sign, roads to bear, or the path to bear. His is your path to bear. And then it went to the cross, the line, and the Y all circled. And the energy of the plus, not the X, but the plus on this side and the Y on this side, right? Because they're both the masculine, the feminine, and the masculine. And over here is also both the feminine and the masculine. Because remember, I told you one is the holding Y, and the other one is the bent the other way Y that becomes the leaves or the stem of the flower. And then here is the pie in the middle, which is expanding, ever expanding bridge in the middle. And also the plus sign in the circle represents salt and fresh, right? Because it's the fresh pie and the symbol of salt. So the plus sign in the circle represents where salt meets fresh, which becomes the vortex, because salt water is heavier, it goes down, and fresh water goes up, and then it becomes a spiral and becomes that cyclone of the vortex. The 30 to 14 and 314, 123 were coming up as these symbols. This one being the 3 to 14, and then this one being the 314, right? The one in the middle with the 2 parentheses, and then the 1, 2, 3 of the Y, right? Because it's 3 pronged of the all 3 roads that are leading home, but it represents the whole circle as roads leading home. All right, so then we get into the number 4. And I'll show you really quickly. So this was on the 4th. All right, so we have the 9-4, which was 42 and 24, 042, 024, and the 42 is 2 of Cups, and the 24 is the Queen of Wands, but they also happen to be my parents' soul numbers, which is why they use them, because I can relate to them. And then the 9 of the Hermit, okay, which is, I'm Virgo, so they're representing me and my parents here, right? So the daughter and the parents. And then we have the plus sign, which I just showed you, and the plus sign is the number 4, because like I said, a line is a line or an arc, so it's the same thing. So the plus sign coming up is the number 4, which is also the Emperor, and where salt meets fresh in the vortex. And the way you cross yourself is an upside down 4. So they were showing me to correct that, and I got a big release from doing it. And again, what resonates with you, if you don't want to, that's fine. But the energy of the torus and the trident kept coming up with the 23 reflecting 32 to lead by example. Then the 24 reflecting 42 on this page, or 42/24 of 1-to-1 of the 2 of cups to the number 4, 24, making the cross. The King of Wands journey by example to 1-to-1 with the Queen of Wands, which is also 24, is also a mega. And also I think 24 has been assigned to Pleiades and 24 apostles as opposed to 12. And I'm sure there's other definitions as well. But the dot in the middle is coming up as equal to the word of the mother, or excuse me, the masculine and feminine, the crown and the heart. The 2 of cups of the W of the trident is the 2 of cups right next to each other, and 1-to-1 of 2 are us. The 2-4 is also the Q4, quarter 4, where the lamb, the 4 is the lamb to L1, the lambda or lamb to father leap. The lamb to queen leaps in. The lamb to father leaps out. The spiral of the 0 with the parentheses around it expanding to the middle to push out to lambda leap to the crown. It's like pushing out. The spiral creates energy from the middle to push out to the 4 of the lambda leap to the crown, or to left to right. Right? Left L is lambda, to lambda father in order to go to R, which is that open housing, which becomes this symbol right here. This symbol right here. Okay, so the 2 circles come together, and then there's the cord here in the middle. But this is also with direction and energy going forward as she soars horizontally, left to right. So again, the energy of the 4. Go to the left shoulder, which is the universal chakra, and reversal of the cross by undoing the cross. Going across is like atypical, not cross. You rise again without crossing over, or in other words, instead of dying, you rise again. The energy of 131, here it is, 131 again, the time. And it was explaining what I just gotten, this message to my daughter, and my ears popped. Like not literally, but it's the same feeling as when your ears pop on the plane, but without the pain of that. At 1:31, which is the time I woke up with my father the night before, and then I looked at the clock again, it was 1:34, which is again the leap of the cross, the plus sign, not the cross, but the plus sign of the Empress or the eagle soaring, and then the Emperor of the Phoenix rising. 131 is of 13 and 31 of death and chaos, or life and death, but instead of death, the bridge across, a cross. So I was looking up just to see